Hello, team. Welcome back to Talking Ruggers. It's been a while since I've said that, and I am so sorry for that. I've been incredibly busy over the course of both the men's and the women's Six Nations, and honestly, it was a bit too much to be the five-man band I am, looking after different bits and bobs here and there. But do not worry, your fix of midweek ruggers has returned, and with a bang, might I add. This episode, arguably, is my favorite of all the Talking Ruggers episodes. And no, I'm not just saying that because it's the first one back, but because the guest is just almost a piece of me. I can see so many things in myself when I was starting my social media journey way back in lockdown in this bloke because of the way we think about the game, in particular, the way we think about kicking. It's a real noisy conversation, and we get into the depths of everything from process to mentality to equipment to social media. If you are a goal kicker, or potentially your child is a goal kicker, or you're just interested in rugby and kicking and content creation as a whole, then you found yourself to the right podcast episode this morning. Well, without any further ado, I'm going to invite you to join us on this journey through a conversation around kicking with the one, the only Kick IQ, aka my teammate for the Crunch creator, Dylan K. So, Dylan, in your own words, for those who may not know who you are, who is Kick IQ?
Okay, so Kick IQ is it's me. It's Dylan K. It's a social media brand, but it's also a coaching business where my idea is just to give everyone like equal coaching opportunities because I found like when I was growing up and kicking, there's just not much like, help in it. There's not much coaching. I mean, I think the company I went through to get some kicking coaching, I don't think they're rocking anymore. So it's just like I wanted to give everything I've learned because I've had a roller coaster of a journey with kicking, which I'm sure we'll delve into more. I wanted to give everybody the opportunity to learn how to kick and be able to perform because it's such an important skill. And so yeah, Kick IQ is pretty much it's an online coaching platform. It's an in-person coaching platform. It's becoming a more of a brand as well. So it's just anything and everything kicking. Like to think that way.
We have very, very similar origin stories, as Level Up Rugby was very much kicking oriented when I began it too. In lockdown, I just needed some place to put my thoughts as I was rattling around the cage of isolation at home. And I
Yeah.
thus started Level Up Rugby and started getting into the details of the goal kicking process. So don't go start scrolling down the bottom end of the Level Up Rugby YouTube account, because that is full of some awful content right at the beginning. So we're going to have a great conversation here because we're clearly both lovers of booting the ball. But before we get into all of that, Dylan, tell me how it started for you. Not just the business, but right very beginning, your origin story of rugby.
Rugby. Okay, so I mean, yeah, I've loved rugby as long as I can remember. Really, grew up at played for Stroud Rugby Club, which is my local rugby club. I went there when I was about 4 years old. I think you could be 4 years old. Played through all the ages there. So from four till under 16s, and yeah, I just absolutely loved it. Like, would just want to rock up on a weekend, rock up at training, and just play and just play, and when we're not playing rugby, I'm like, "Let's watch some rugby instead," you know what I mean? I never wanted to not be involved with rugby, so, yeah, it's always been what I wanted to like, what I love doing.
And who is taking you to these sessions? Like, is
Oh,
your dad heavily involved? That's a classic story for most people, or
yeah.
anyone
Well,
else?
it's my mum and my dad, actually. So my dad played, but my mum grew up in Gloucester. So growing up in Gloucester, you're normally a pretty big rugby fan, so she'd go to the rugby every weekend when she was younger, back in the days when it was about £5 for a ticket.
Yeah.
So, she was big on it, my dad was big on it, so they both take me down. They both take me down and, got the classic story of they just stand on the sideline in the cold, taking me to training. But yeah, no, it was I wouldn't say heavily influenced because obviously they exposed me to a lot of sports, but they were big rugby fans. I became a big rugby fan, so it worked out. We'd go down on a Sunday, everyone would be there, go home, watch some rugby. Do you know what I mean? It's always been, yeah, always been rugby.
It's crazy how there's these pockets of the country that are more rugby dominated than football. There's only a few of them, like,
Yeah.
but Gloucester being one around the Midlands where it's just full of rugby loving people. And of course, I'm sure you went to a few games. Those are the people who are taking you to your own games. But what about players that you admired on the pitch? Of course, Danny Cipriani eventually ended up at Gloucester. Was he one of your role models?
Yeah.
Anyone who you,
Yeah.
even from just a kicking point of view, that you tried to emulate in your game growing up?
Oh, mate, no, I tell you what, so here's the weird thing, right? From a kicking point of view, there was this YouTube series. Now, this is gonna be some random guy who there's a
We're getting
kicking series
super
that was
niche here. Let's get
yeah,
nosy with it.
here we go, right. So, actually, it was Rugby Pass, it was Rugby Pass. Rugby Pass did a schoolboy series
Yeah.
on a
No, no, no. Let me try and guess who you're talking about
okay,
because I feel like I'm. Oh no, I was watching a series on the Water Boy. There was some blonde kid who kicked off a telescopic kicking tee from Australia. He played for like Brothers or something.
yeah.
I'm
So
trying to
he's
think
from
of the.
Australia, but I
Yeah.
don't know if it was brothers or not, but
No. No. He went
I
to
think it was
Nudgy.
Yes,
Yeah, bro.
Nudgy!
We know. We know. This is such nausea. People at home are like, what on earth are these two talking about right now?
Mate,
You have to know kicking inside and out to know exactly this series. It wasn't Rugby Pass. It's on a YouTube channel called The Water Boy,
was it? Okay,
which has
right,
like
yeah,
gone
right.
on to other things. But yeah, I can't
Yeah.
remember the bloke's name for the life of me. But I remember watching him play, and he was wearing a pair of like Nike Superfly fours,
Yeah.
kicking off a
Yeah,
telescopic
yeah,
kicking
yeah.
tee. That is so funny.
So that was from a kicking point of view, I watched this guy, and this was I don't know how old I was, but was it around I think it was around lockdown time, if I'm not mistaken, like, they were putting out these episodes. Maybe not, I'm not entirely sure, but, a long time ago now, wasn't it? But whenever it was kind of that time, and I was like, "Right," I think I must have been about 14, I was like 15, I was like, "Right, this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna kick." So I'd watch him, and I'd go out to the park and try and kick. So from a kicking point of view, we had that guy, very, 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 you have to know to know.
Yeah, that's
But,
some nausea niche, like dark place
that
on
is.
YouTube. That.
But then, yeah, mate, so I was actually season ticket holder. That season Sips came to Gloucester, and, oh, mate, that was so I was playing, like I was still at that age, weirdly enough, because we were still at the age where I think positions were only just becoming a thing, which is quite weird because it makes me feel
Yeah.
quite young now when I think about it. But, like, yeah, positions were only just becoming a thing, so I was like, "Oh, do I play 12? Do I play back row?" I was still had a bit of size on me back then compared to the rest of the lads. Didn't happen for long, that didn't last. But,
Yeah.
Sips came to Gloucester, and I was like, "Wow, this is like nothing I've ever seen before." He was just well, I mean, we've all seen that highlights reel, that is a ridiculous highlights reel. So then, ever since then after Sips came to that season in Gloucester, I was like, "Right, I wanna play 10, and I wanna be like Cipriani." And so, since then, he's been my role model and, like, my idol in rugby. Like, if there was anyone if you was ask me, like, anyone who I wanna be able to play like, it's Cipriani within an instant. I've even got, like, like, some tops and stuff, like, big Cipriani fan.
I can see it in the way that you move. Obviously, we'll get into it in a wee while, but we've got to know each other over the course of the Crunch Creator series that we
Yeah.
played in. Of course, we've known of each other kicking wise for a wee while before that. But of course, and I can see the way that you play, the way that you bounce laterally across the field, like looking to tie in defenders. I can see it within you. But yeah, it's fascinating how you've gone from. I looked him up. I've just done my best Joe Rogan side guest Google search, and it's his name's Sam Green or Sam Greeny. It's got a little E on the end
From
of green.
from,
That's the
the
bloke's
Austra
name. Yeah.
yeah.
How
Shout
niche
out to
is
him,
that,
man.
mate? I love
That's
how as
so
soon as you
funny.
said it, like, as soon as you gave me, like, one little inkling of what it could be about, I knew exactly this series is and what is you know what? I'm gonna go back and watch it, and I highly recommend any of you guys listening at home do
Oh,
too. It was a great arguably the first piece of content that ever came
yeah.
out towards rugby on YouTube, little documentaries, like 7 episodes of it,
Yeah,
and
it was
it's just in
brilliant.
that era of Nike Magistas and Superfly 4s and oh, it's just a great time to be alive. It's arguably rugby prime. It was actually 10 years ago. Dear God, 2016 that it got
10
posted
years
onto
ago.
YouTube.
Mate,
My
that is
goodness
crazy. That is
gracious.
crazy. I must have hopped in a bit late to it then, but What, 10 years? That's crazy. That is
Yeah,
crazy.
he's now Sam Green, I'm very well aware he's now playing out in Japan. I'm pretty sure
Good
he
on
played
him.
alongside Quade Cooper at some point.
Oh,
But you can also
nuts.
see, for example, while scrolling the YouTube, if for listeners at home, and he's also got like Kalen Ponga's highlights when he played for Churchy back 11 years ago, and it's on 2.4 million views now, of course, because Kalen Ponga's
So
gone on to do some incredible things in rugby league. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
an unbelievable hidden gem that I can't believe we've uncovered this little gem. If you don't know about it, then you haven't been living under a rock, because I think this has been living under a rock. This YouTube channel is slept on. And if you love rugby, then you might know about it. If you don't, then, well, let us know down below in the comment section if you've
Mate,
ever
that's
seen
so
any water
funny.
boy videos, because it is
That is
some
so
niche,
funny.
niche lore, that. But anyway, back to you, mate. More importantly, talk to me about your progression through the rugby ranks, because I know that you're off to France soon enough to go and play and
Absolutely,
pursue
yeah.
that dream of playing professional rugby. But how did it progress for you from playing at Stroud all the way through to where you are now?
Yeah, so this is where it gets really very unconventional of the word, but I've had a very rocky road, I suppose you say.
I am so, so, so sorry to interrupt this episode of Talking Ruggers. I hope you're enjoying it. And if you are, please just go down below and drop a like on the episode, or alternatively, rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast streaming service you may use. It really does help grow the channel and keep this ball rolling, because the guests are only going to get bigger and better. So you don't want to miss out on that. So subscribe whilst you're down there. Leave a comment potentially on who you might want to hear from next in the rugby space. But otherwise, I'm going to leave you to get straight back to the episode. Thank you so much for your continued support. I love you guys.
So played through Stroud, and then obviously you have DPP, and then you go into academy, and so I did all of this. Went through the DPP, went into the academy with Gloucester, and it's a great environment. It's a lot of fun. I'd say it's a lot of fun. It's obviously tough. You're still quite young to be in that kind of environment, especially when you're doing GCSEs at that time and whatever. But it was good. It was good to be in that environment. I was enjoying it a lot. I then went on to Hartpury College, so very big, very, very big rugby
Yeah.
school, or rugby college. And I learned so much there. I've got to be honest, it is phenomenal how they have it set up over there. It's incredible. But I went to Hartpury College, but I only played wow, I don't even know if you say a year. I only played the first year of rugby with Hartpury, and only under up to well, I did a little bit of under 18s in like preseason, but only like going up a year or so, but only really like age wise under 17s, because then I quit rugby because I absolutely fell out of love with it. Like I was in the car and mum and dad are trying to take me to rugby, and I'm like, turn the car around. I don't want to go. Like I just, going from that boy who I would play rugby for fun, obviously fun. We were all playing for fun when we were younger. Then I'd go home and watch rugby. Then after school, I'd go out and play rugby. Do you know what I mean? Like going from that to now, I don't even want to. I'm in an environment where I have the chance to pursue my dream and play professional rugby. I didn't even want to be there. And I'd be clock watching every session, just like looking at the clock. How long have we got left? Can I go home? Can I go home? Do you know what I mean? Trying to find excuses to not play. I think I mean, I even didn't play a game. Like it was day or two before a game. We were going out to Quins or something. I remember it very vividly. I turned to my mum or dad. I said, I'm not playing. And then I just left. I went to the academy on I think it was the Monday after college. Just said, I'm not playing rugby anymore. I don't want to be in it anymore. And then just stopped playing. So then stopped playing rugby for about 9 months. And that was weird, because I got into like powerlifting, just a bit of different sport. Just I liked the gym at the time. I was never really I got quite strong. I got quite big as well though. So I wasn't not a proud moment of my life. Like, I mean, I'm 5'9" and I was 105 kilograms. So
Bloody
that's
hell.
that's not a ratio you really want to be at, unless you're powerlifting, in which case it's brilliant. But so I took 9 months out of the sport, and I came back to it, and I was in absolute no man's land because I didn't have anything from academy, because academy had finished. I didn't play any sort of ace rugby at Hartpury or anything, because I wasn't playing in that second year where you really push on to that, or try to push on to that. I'm not saying I would have. I'm just saying would have hoped to have tried to push on to that. So I was absolute no man's land. So I was like, I got no idea what to do. I'd re-sparked my love for rugby 9 months later. I think I was watching a game and I was like, "No, I still do wanna do this." So, my love for the game came about again after 9 months, and I was in probably the worst position to try and still pursue professional rugby. I was just like, I'm not even playing for a team at this point. Had missed all my opportunities that would have come, and yeah, I just ended up playing a bit of men's rugby, and then Lewis McKissick, who is a guy for US sports scholarships, but I've known him my whole life anyway. He was my cameraman. He came on
Yeah, I'm well
Crunch Play with
aware.
us. The big man, the big man. He said, "Look," because I've always been very close with him. He said, "Look, let's try America. You know, it's a good way to kind of get you back into the game a bit. It's growing. They're throwing money at it. Just give it a go." So we did. I did. I absolutely loved it. And then as I was out there, started to play some good rugby again. This is where kick IQ and the kicking started to really take off, which I'm sure we'll go back into. And then I was like, hang on a minute, it's nothing against America, but I think I can go and play maybe just like I want to push on maybe even a higher level. So came home so literally this January to May, I have been back and forth between, no, probably not May, what month are we in now? Yeah, probably about April. I was back and forth between clubs, going to France, back and forth between here and France, going to different trials. Because I was like, I can still try and push on a bit. And I love France. I thought about the UK, come back to UK, playing a bit, regional one, Nat two, Nat one, champ, whatever. But I was like, that's boring, mate. Let's do something different. Let's do something exciting. So I thought, why not try France? France. I don't speak any French, but I love the country. I speak a bit of French now, but I love the country. I was like, why not try it? They love rugby. They've got good systems out there. Let's just try it. And then, yeah, went to trials at various different clubs. Got offers for their under 21 squad because I'm 20, so I have to play in the under 21s. And then from there, we're gonna see what happens after that. But yeah, that's kind of my you know journey through going from just Stroud to no rugby to now back into hopefully a decent bit of rugby. So yeah,
What a story, and one that
yeah.
I'm arguably equally familiar with. I feel like you're just the blonde, better looking version of me, mate.
I
Because
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
definitely the blonde version of me.
Definitely the blonde. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Thank God this is a podcast and no one can see my face. No, because I want to delve into a little bit more about why you fell out of love with it, because it's an
Mm,
like a similar story to mine as well, and it seems
okay.
like we've ended up on very similar paths apart from the pursuing professional playing, but in terms of content. But I want to go back to the start of that story. What was wrong when you were at Hartpury? Because equally, I was at an Ace League school as well. I was at Beech and Cliff, and
Yeah,
similar to you, it is the foundation of my rugby IQ is going
yeah,
to Beech and Cliff and learning the game there, whether it's technically, tactically, strategy, all of these different elements of my game, I wholeheartedly dedicate to Beech and Cliff and the coaches of Ryan Davies and Mark Lilly there, because they actually elevated my knowledge to the point where I can comfortably talk about it online.
yeah,
But arguably at the same time, the it wasn't pressure that they were putting on, it was all internalized, self-imposed pressure to perform and pursue this dream of playing professionally, and it became so much that I just hated rugby. I created my own prison in that sense of punishment and pain because I'd just torture myself ahead of every game.
mm,
That's my story. Sounds like something similar going on with you, mate. If you wanna
yeah,
talk about it and give us a little bit more color on that picture.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, so for me, it was like it was a combination of being at Gloucester, the academy, and being at Hartpury, and just not quite like not having that same. I think very much similar in the sense of I was putting so much pressure on myself to because it was always my dream to play professional rugby more than like anything. And since like 14, I would train 2 3 times a day every day, and I wouldn't miss it. And I think I built up this whole thing of like I remember in lockdown, like watching like Michael Jordan motivational videos, or like having David Goggins screaming at me, all these, and I
Yeah.
was like, right, this is it. I've got to wake up at 4 a.m. Let's do catch pass for an hour, then we hit the gym, and I kind of got into this cycle, and obviously then going to Gloucester and Hartford, they kind of take care of your training, but I still do. loads outside of it. And then I kind of got to the point where I was like, this is all I want to do. All I want to do is play pro rugby. But I think, like you said, I got to a point then when I was like, I don't enjoy games because all I'm thinking about is I've got to perform well. So I've got clips from my highlights reel. So I impress the coaches. So I move up. Do you know what I mean? Or like at Gloucester going to training. Like I did little bits where I was playing with the year above in pre-season. So when I was like finishing under 16s, I guess, doing my GCSEs, I went up to Gloucester under 18s pre-season. It's only a year jump because it was the under 17s going to under 18s
Yeah,
pre-season.
but still, you're playing
But
against people 2 years older
but
than you in a massive
yeah, what
age where there's a lot of growth that happens physically.
yeah, exactly. And and I don't think I was then at going to preseason. Now that is one of the most grueling preseasons I've ever had, to be fair. And we were like 3 times a week. It was nice at Kingsholm. Like it's a good setup. We training on the pitch, and I got to the point where I was like, all I'm here to do is just try and impress the coaches. And if I don't, well, and that obviously that's not the way you should be, but that's how I was viewing it because I was like, if I impress the coaches, then I could potentially play academy league a year early. Uh, and then I can, I'm looking good, you know what I mean? And it was all like, can I get that contract at the end of the academy or whatever? So I was always thinking about these things rather than just wanting to play rugby because I love it. And same with Hartpury, like I was playing in Hartpury have like first year and second year teams, probably maybe a bit similar to Beecham. I was playing in like Hartpury's second team. It's called Bulls, and constantly on my mind was like, right, how can I impress the coaches to move up to ace team? Do you know what I mean? If I can be an ace of the first year or get ready for ace to be in my second year, which never actually happened. Second year just didn't happen in rugby. But, it was always that like, I was never happy with where I was. And I was always like so much pressure on myself to like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Play rugby. So how do I just end up not loving it anymore.
That's fascinating, mate, because it's a very common story when all you want is to be the
Mm.
starting 10, be the starting
Yeah.
whatever it is, and you see the person who's in your position. At my school, it was 2 lads, George Warboys and Orlando Bailey, who were in the starting 10 and 15 jersey. Yeah, some big name drops there. And of
Yeah.
course, they were very good, and this is where the origins of OJ22 began because I was constantly on the bench and often never even getting subbed on. I'd go all the way down to Ivory Bridge, for an Ace League fixture, and this was before the
Yeah,
times
yeah,
where
yeah.
your bench had to play a minimum of the half. I just sat on the bench and came on for 30 seconds at the end of a game. Ace League final, never even got on against the likes of Stephen Varney and Louis Roustamit at Hartbury. They beat us that year in the
Alright. Yeah,
final.
yeah, yeah.
And I think the point I'm trying to make here is it seems so unfair, at least for me, that the person who is in the position that you desired seemed to be having the most fun in the world. Don't get me wrong, they
Mm.
still had their own pressures that they put on themselves because they desired going to an even higher level than what you can even dream of at that stage. But they looked like they're just enjoying playing rugby. And the best example
Yeah.
that I always make on this podcast is Max Ajomu, how he always played with a smile on his face all the way from when I played against him and he was at Chippenham all the way through Dorset and Wilts to Bath Academy when I was watching from the sidelines. Like, this lad just looks like he's having a
Yeah.
laugh. Even when he's playing for Bath now, you see him
Yeah.
running tries with Joe Cock on a singer with a smile on his face. And it seems so unfair because you think, well, they're only loving life because they're in that starting position. That's why they're happy. But then you
Yeah.
begin to realize as you get older that it's like a chicken and egg argument. Which one came first? Were they in
Yeah.
that starting jersey because they're having fun? Or is it that they're having fun because they're in the starting jersey? And I'd
Yeah,
argue
yeah,
that
yeah.
looking back in hindsight, although it's easier said than done when you have so much care and desire to be in that starting position and to go pro beyond that, in reality, it's having fun and playing rugby, not
Yeah.
professionalizing it and making it super serious and scared for every single catch pass in case you throw it on their back hip rather than out in front of them. You know, those
Yeah.
stresses that you put on yourself before
Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
single game. These lads are just running around, chucking a ball around, playing rugby. And that's the
Yeah.
way that I think you should start to play the game. And that's where I went wrong as well, similar to you after Beechin, I fell in and out of love with it. Like I loved playing, and I went to go play for a local side in Bath called Avonvale, just some like village rugby club, and we won the county
Yeah,
cup.
yeah.
Like it was just great fun, much more enjoyable than sitting on the sideline watching us almost win the Ace League. But I then fell out of love with it when I went to university and I stopped playing, partly because I had shin splints to kingdom come and I couldn't move, because I also got, for want of a better word, fat through
Yeah.
gymming like hell. I called it the fridge season one summer, where I didn't go outside the gym, so I was pale as hell, and I don't tan as much as it is
You did it
anyway, so
you did it in the summer?
yeah, I did it
You
over
didn't
the
go for the
summer.
winter and then the summer cut. You
Oh,
went in with oh, mate.
winter up. No, I was like, I need to get heavier and heavier because at Beach and Cliff, it's a
Yeah.
slightly toxic culture. I spoke about it with Harrison Trains, where we had a scale, a set of scales in the gym. And if you weighed under 80 kilos, you just low key got bullied, for want of a better word again. But
Yeah.
I thought, okay, the bigger I am, the better I'll be at rugby. So I just got
Yeah.
bigger and bigger and bigger. Then it was COVID. I didn't run, and I had shin splints when I came to preseason at Loughborough. Couldn't move my body, hated life, stopped playing, started coaching, continued to carry on with level up rugby and that side of things, which is a blessing in hindsight because I wouldn't have had the time to do it otherwise. But
Yeah, yeah.
equally, back to the point that is right at the origin of this tangent of conversation, I fell out of love with it because of
Yeah.
that pressure that you put on yourself when you're on the fringes. And by the sounds of things, mate, that was something that you equally experienced, but
Yeah.
then regained the love and moved to America. Talk me through about where that love came back in for the game and what it was like then to take that passion to some part of the world which is growing in rugby, but definitely not developed yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I'll make one quick point actually on the previous thing we were just talking about. Just one final thing, because I think this is interesting for everyone to hear. Well, especially like younger guys. When I'd finished playing rugby, I was convinced myself I was done with it. I had no longer dreamed of being a professional because I wasn't playing the game. Hartpury was short on a 10. They needed a 10 just for one game.
Yeah.
It was a game against like some Newport side or something like that. I don't really remember. It was like end of season. A lot of lads are injured, but they needed a 10. I was like, they were like, "Can you just quickly play a game for us?" I was like, "Yeah, fine." That was probably one of the best games I've ever played because I had not a care because I wasn't playing rugby anymore. I wasn't trying to impress the coaches anymore because that was like my last game, I guess, because I was like, yeah, I'm not playing next week because I'll be back in the gym pumping some iron. Do you know what I mean? Uh, and I had the best game, and I think it's interesting to think like when you don't have those expectations of yourself and you're not trying to play for anyone else. I was like, I'm just gonna have fun. Do you know what I mean? You have the best games. So I think that's a really interesting, like, people should try and do more. Like you were saying, like playing some, like, just playing without a care of trying to impress people is where you'll play your best rugby. But yeah, just thought that was a good one to note for guys to like just have in their mind.
100%.
Like,
And like following on from that, like I find that sometimes my best games happen off the back of a hangover or when I'm least expecting to play. Because genuinely, there's no preamble. There's no week leading up to the game
yeah,
where you're
yeah,
playing plays in your mind of what you need to do here and how you're gonna do this. It's just, right, okay, time to go and play rugby, and all of a sudden you're
yeah,
just dropped in this moment and you just gotta start scanning, you gotta be aware of what's going on around you and just
yeah, yeah,
play.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no
exactly.
pre-thought to it, it's just action, which is
Yeah,
fascinating. So that's a very
yeah.
well, yeah, very good point to raise, mate. It's funny how those circumstances can sometimes conjure up these brilliant performances.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's interesting. But then right, yeah, back to America.
Yeah, where'd the love
Right.
come from, mate? How did you get back into it, and, how did you find it over in the States with this reinvigorated passion for the game?
Yeah, so States was a really interesting one. So, as I said, I was with Lewis, kind of just, always been very close with him, and he was like, "Look, let's try the States." So, I actually went out to a sevens tournament in Tampa, which was kind of just like to get a feel for it and meet some coaches, and if they like you, they like what you see, seeing you at sevens. And I'm not much of a sevens player. I'm very much more, catch a pass, put people through gaps. I'm not really that nice,
You and me
nippy.
both, mate. Another
Yeah.
similarity.
Yeah, there we go. But, and it was just unbelievable. Like, I loved the sun, and I met a coach out there called Frank McKinney, who he was like, "Look, me and Lewis have been speaking about you or something," or I started speaking to him. I can't remember how it came about, and I was like, "Man, I like this guy a lot." And so I came back with Lewis, whatever. We were talking about it. He was like, "Right, I've got you a scholarship here." The amazing things about America is in terms of like guys who love rugby and they want to go to university as well. Like it's surprisingly cheaper than the UK, which I think is an interesting one. Not many people would see that. So I was going for less than I would have been.
No way.
paying for the UK. Yeah, so it's cheaper. You get unlimited food, because all your food's catered for. Yeah, I know, mate. You
Unlimited
get
food.
unlimited food, like, you get stash for days, like, like, a lot of universities get your boots for you.
So American that, so American. Get
Yeah,
me out there, that sounds
mate,
unreal.
and we'd be, like, going to games, and we'd be staying in, like, these Marriotts before because you travel a lot, which is another amazing thing about it, like, you get to travel quite a lot because obviously the place is huge. So we'd be in, like, Marriotts before games, and then coach would have ordered in some Chick-fil-A for us to pre-game meal, and, like, yeah, I mean, you get used to the fast food, but when you're playing that much and you're training that much, it's not a problem. You're
Yeah, it
just
doesn't touch
loving
the
it,
sides, I
and
bet.
yeah, but yeah, it was such a unique experience. It's definitely a different feeling out there around rugby. But what was nice was probably one of my highlights for me is that I went out there. It was I had took a right chance on it. Because I liked Frank McKinney had come from a very successful school. He was offering a good scholarship and an exciting program, an entirely new school to rugby. Technically, he'd like brought this program over. We're like, yeah, let's do this. I was like, yeah, why not? Let's go all in.
Yeah,
I've got
why
nothing.
not?
Like, I'm going to respark my love. He's starting up a new program here. Let's do it. And we had in our first year, we had 8 guys, including me, so 7 other guys, all from all over the world. We had, as in first year, obviously you got the older guys who had
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of played a bit and they were brought in. But first year, we all lived together. We had a guy from Chile, guy from Spain, guy from Andorra, a guy from South Africa, guy from Italy, 2 Americans, and me. And we
What a
lived
mixed
all in
bag,
this
bloody hell.
what a mixed bag. But we've all played rugby, and it's so interesting to play with all these different guys. Like the way the guys from, Andorra, the way the guy from Andorra plays compared to the American, compared to the South African. And these were like good players, like seriously talented guys that we'd all just gone in. And it was just unreal because we were living opposite each other. We'd, we'd go out to training, come back,
Frat
smash some
life.
food in the dining hall. Yeah.
Yeah, living that
Yeah, well,
fraternity life, man. Kappa
exa
Sigma, Omega 3, 4.
you know it. But now and it's like, it was so much fun, like, it was only 4 months for me because then France came about. But, like, you know, it's interesting, like, we had a very kicking dominated play style. Brilliant. Did not mind it one bit.
Kick and press. I love a bit of kick and
Yeah,
press.
mate, it was just when we had the ball, it was like, get the ball in their half. We'll play from their half. Make them play. They'll kick it back. They'll spoon one. We'll get a line out halfway and we go. That was pretty much the tactic. And if we get penalties, mop them over. And I had like this is like, I'd only just got into some good kicking. Like I've had a horrid journey with kicking, and this was my first season of actually kicking properly, being confident too, because I was dreadful before this. Genuinely, I've had. Well, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about that as well in a bit more kicking, but yeah, and I had a stupidly high percentage. Like I don't know what happened, but it's like, again probably going back to that lack of pressure because it was just a bit of fun with the lads. I was on like 94, 92% at one point in the season, just coming into our
Bloody
last game.
hell.
Last game I spooned a few, which really drew the average down, but
You hate
but
to
but
see
we'll
it.
leave it that last game didn't happen. I had the flu and
Yeah.
all, pretend that didn't happen. But,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so we had a big kick and it was just such a nice environment to be in, like, go to the gym together, you're training together, you're living together with the lads, you're eating together. Sometimes you're going to class, sometimes you're not, sometimes you're just going kicking. Do you know what I mean? That was another nice
Yeah.
thing. We just kick. Yeah, it was unbelievable 4 months.
It sounds like quite literally the American dream.
It
Going over
yeah.
there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
free food,
Oh,
stash.
mate.
It sounds unbelievable, mate. So I'm
Yeah,
incredibly
yeah,
jealous of
yeah.
you there. But yeah, it sounds like a real positive place to be and potentially a pathway that people need to open their eyes to, especially with the growth of the
Yeah.
game out there. It's definitely, well, they're definitely trying. They're
They
definitely
are. Yeah,
trying to
that's
grow
it.
it.
Yeah.
Whether it's, coming into full fruition just yet, we'll have to wait and see. But otherwise, it is, yeah, a pretty booming place to be. How
Yeah.
then did Kick IQ start? Because you're talking about your goal kicking here, and similar to me, I went through, years of like
Mate.
compartmentalizing kicking and breaking it down into every little nuance. But you have to, listeners at home, don't
Yeah.
bother because you're probably not that interested in kicking. But You have to go onto my YouTube on Level Up Rugby and scroll right to the bottom and torture yourself watching me
Oh,
talk about every little detail of goal kicking. I scripted the entire thing. I wrote it up on like sheets of paper, stuck it on a whiteboard, and recited these lines. And I mean,
oh,
I
mate.
spent a good I think it was maybe even like 3 or 4 hours worth of content, like, all edited, like, that's not just the that's it cut down, and talking about goal kicking, and that's 3 or 4 hours before we've even spoken about actually kicking the ball. It
Oh,
was
my
talking about
word.
what tee you choose, the kind of balls
Yeah,
you use, your visualization process, all these elements that to do with, like, preparation. It's the preamble before the kick. I spent hours talking about it,
mate.
and it's the same when
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got to the
yeah.
pitch, like, I had this idealistic goal kicking routine, which I'd argue is arguably the most perfect goal kicking routine you'll ever see. I'll send you a video. There's one kick of me on the sideline, and I think it's my best kick of all time. Again, equally in a game where there was no pressure on me. So I just got
Yeah,
through this ball and I absolutely smoked the thing. I was like, okay, that's this ideal image of goal kicking. But then as time went on, I began to realize how difficult that process was to replicate. So I then
yeah,
limited and reduced myself down to a very simplified process, which I was very, very fortunate enough to have a conversation with Johnny Wilkinson about, and how you speak about like how your process can become limited and you get smaller and smaller and smaller. And Johnny's all
yeah,
about expressing yourself and being confident and comfortable in being big and missing big. If you're going to miss. At least
yeah,
commit to
oh,
your
yeah.
process. And that's where I like I don't want to say challenge Johnny Wilkinson because I don't think anyone can really challenge that bloke on his knowledge. But like, I'd argue that's an idealistic way of kicking the ball, and that now I've reduced myself down to this very small, simple goal kicking process from what was once a flamboyant thing on this whole journey of goal kicking. And I probably sent the audience half to sleep here because it is just talking about kicking,
No, but
but that's just a prime example of how much detail that goes into it. So,
yeah,
how have you started to leverage that with your mentality and your obsession for the game? Because that's essentially, I think, what took the love out of it for you. But then you've now
yeah,
redirected that and channeled it into such a productive means of posting content about goal kicking, which clearly there is a massive audience for. Where did that all start?
yeah. So it was out in America, and it was kind of my first season of actually being, I don't want to say good at kicking, but like it probably
You
was.
can
It was
say it,
probably my
mate. We're between
yeah,
friends
like
here. It's just you and me, mate. Just you and me. You
yeah.
can tell me. You can say you're all right.
So yeah, so I mean, up until then, like similar to you, I've kicked probably every single day of my life. Within reason. I mean,
You are out there
like,
hustling, mate. I do see you on the training paddock, like just kicking balls. I haven't kicked balls like
mate,
that in a
just
long time.
mate, just every day I'm out there, and even more so now. But I would be there for like 2, 3, 4 hours, and we go down with my mates sometimes, and then sometimes it'd just be me, and I was just, man, I just could not hit the thing. And like I reckon I've kicked off every different tee, had every different run up, had every different thought process before a kick, and it just wasn't happening. But anyway, I mean, we'll talk more about that later. But like, yeah, got into America, and I had one I was liking, and I was like, this is good. We're running with it. It's working. And I was trying to coach my mate Gabo, or we called him Gabo. I actually don't know what his real name is. That's funny.
That's a good
Gabriel.
friend. That
So
love
like,
that.
something like Gabriel. I was coaching him to kick, and he was like, you know what? We should film some of this. I was like, "Damn it, not interested, not interested." I'm just like, "I'll coach you to kick. I'll kick myself. We'll have a good season. We'll get on with it." Do you know what I mean? I wasn't really interested at first, and then he was like, "Nah, mate, you're really like, we're really breaking it down." And he was making some good progress. I think he kicks for the boys now, because he's still there. He's putting up some numbers. But, yeah, I was like, you know what? Fine then." So our first couple of videos was just, I think it was a voiceover, and again, this kind of similar to probably going back to your level up stuff. It was scripted, like I was like
Yeah.
reading it, like, and then we did this.
Yeah,
It's
classic.
and they got about 1,000 views, I think. I mean, not even bad considering the quality of the video. I'll take 1K.
So 1,000
But
people watching that is crazy, yeah.
and it was like it'd be me filming him, and then we'd swap over, and he'd film me, be a voiceover, or I didn't have anything. I put my phone in a shoe, and I did some like
Classic.
reps into a net, because this is back when I was kicking off like it was really low school of kicking tees, and I was very much on that kind of just jog into the ball, hit it at 50% and let it fly, and
Yeah.
it like I was good with it for a bit. I was really loving it. But yeah, we just started filming videos, and I was like, "This is actually quite enjoyable." And then here we were, ChatGPT, what should I call it? It's about kicking, ChatGPT, design my logo. So, a lot of that,
Classic.
getting all of that up.
I wish I had bloody GPT when I started, mate. I was
Yeah.
doing it
Oh,
the
mate,
old-fashioned way.
the easy life nowadays. But nah, yeah, so, like, we just started up and then just started posting videos of me coaching him and, like, little coaching bits I had because. Yeah, as you notice, over the years and years of disappointment in kicking and, like, kicking a lot, you learn so much. And I also had coaching as well. I had, like, 1 or 2 coaching sessions, with School of Kicking. But then, like, watching videos on, like, YouTube and Instagram, like, I'll plug him a bit here, but Kicking It with KC, phenomenal, like, learned so much from him.
What other influences were there on your journey? For me, the greatest inspiration was Peter Breen from, Rugby
Ye
Bricks. He
yeah,
was the GOAT,
another
mate.
one.
He's the
Is it
OG.
the 12 pillars of coaching, is it? Is it the
Yeah, the
12
top pillars of
pillars?
goal kicking. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. That's a classic as well.
yeah, for sure. He was, the the real spark amongst the content
Yeah,
kicking
he
community
was,
that really
yeah,
kicked it all off.
first. And funny enough, he actually when we were at about 2K followers on probably combined, he messaged because I didn't have a telescopic tee at the time. We had to put 2 tees on top of each other to make a telescopic, to do a video on how to kick off a telescopic or what the differences are. And he reached out and was like, "Look, let's send you boys some tees." So he sent over some tees, and then I was like, "Hang on a minute. The higher the tee, the further I can kick it. That's what's getting me views." Because like it
Yeah.
started off with like more coaching based, and it still is very much coaching based on the page. But the ones that really get them nice couple of mil views are like, how far can I kick the ball? Or doing like a silly shot, like spin it with my feet. I can't believe how well that does. But so started to get a bit more into like a combination, bit of coaching, bit of
Yeah,
cool
you need
stuff.
it from a content point
Yeah,
of view to, like, diversify. Like, it's all well and
yeah,
good coaching and putting out that coaching content, but sometimes it's not even gonna reach the people who need it the most because they aren't aware of
yeah,
it. But if you post
yeah,
some silly spin the ball, backflip, bottle flip, goal
yeah.
kick routine, then all
That's
of
something
a sudden
I want to see that next, mate.
yeah, I'll have to work
Spin the
on that
ball
one
back
actually.
flip, ball
Yeah,
flip, goal kick.
bottle flip. But you post that kind of stuff, it gets the reach, you reach new audiences,
Yeah,
all of a sudden they see your page, they might give you a click, and then all of a sudden, there you are,
yeah,
coaching as well, and they're like, "Okay, okay, I'll drop this person a follow here
yeah,
and actually have
exactly.
some valuable content," but you have to diversify your content
Yeah, of
portfolio
course, yeah.
to reach new audiences, so yeah, that's
And
a smart
and I
way of
never
running your
wanted
business.
yeah, and I never wanted to move off the coaching because ultimately why it started was deliver coaching because I think it's so hard to find out there. And coming from like real experience of like I've I've tried every single kicking routine, every single kicking tee out there. Like you build up a knowledge and I feel like I want to stop people. I had probably 5 years of kicking every day and no improvement. And then started to learn how to do it a bit properly and then like half a year and I was, you know, a lot better. I want to cut out that, well, not obviously cut it out. It's good to go through, but I want to maybe shorten that from 5 years to give people the understanding they need to learn to goal kick. But yeah, just
100%, and
started
you
there.
can accelerate people's learning like that. I wanna delve into a little bit more detail, and we're starting to get a little bit noisy here, around the school of kicking style of kicking. Because, of course, you say you've
Hmm.
trialed every routine. Arguably, for those who are new to the game of rugby or maybe don't know as much about kicking, I think, at least in my belief, challenge me if I'm wrong, there's typically 2 styles of approach into the ball. You have the more slow walking approach, somewhat like Owen Farrell back in the day, where you walk into the ball, swing, and you get
Yeah,
through the ball quite a lot. It's almost like a hop. You get through that, you land back on the plant foot, and then your kicking
yeah,
foot comes back down to the ground. And then alternatively, you have the more jogging style approach, which Owen Farrell now, funnily enough, has switched to after being coached by Johnny Wilkinson for some time, who is coached by Dave Allred back in the day, who runs School of
yeah,
Kicking, if you're following along at home. I know there's a lot of nosing, but that's a jogging style approach into the ball, where it's more about shunting and shifting your body momentum. So you're jogging into it, and then your kicking foot is the one that comes back down to the ground very
comes
quickly.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Those are
yeah,
typically the 2 styles of kicking. Arguably, I prefer the more walking style approach. I don't like jogging into the ball. I find it too difficult to be accurate with, but that arguably
yeah,
comes back into the mentality behind your kicking. Are you more of an artist or more of a robot? I'd say that the jogging style is more artistic, it's more variable, but you're focusing more on just striking the ball each and every single one, whereas the walking style approach is a bit more robotic in that sense. You're more precise with each and every step being calculated specifically.
Yeah.
But that's the style that I prefer. But similarly to you, again, another similarity between us. I was coached by Tony Yap from the School of Kicking, and
Yeah.
of course,
Yappy
they
did it
are
for me.
Yappy. Okay, Pat, I
Yeah.
was gonna ask, 'cause, you've been hinting at the School of Kicking tutelage
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
throughout this conversation, and yeah, I was coached by Yappy as well, and this is at an age before I really knew how to kick, I was just swinging my leg at it. But they taught us how to
Yeah.
jog into the ball, shunt, get your momentum, your chest over the ball, momentum through the ball, and just keep on jogging after the ball. It's not something that I preach nowadays, although I believe there's more than one way to kick a ball well, but that's clearly a path that, again, similarly, you went down as well. What's your take on the School of Kicking low kicking tee that comes with this jog style approach compared to the
Yeah,
higher
yeah.
kicking tees of the walking style approach? What is your stance on that style of kicking, that mentality behind only teaching one way of kicking the ball, and the jogging style approach as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting topic, and I think, for me, I am very much in the belief there is no correct way to kick for anyone. I think because ultimately what I find it comes down to is it's not your kicking tee, it's not your approach, it's how natural and comfortable you can feel as you approach as you're in your kick. So from like, because I've kicked off a low tee and I've had great percentages. I've also kicked off high tees now and I still do kick off a high tee and I have great percentages. Like I said, I've walked in and I've hit them well and I've jogged in and I've hit them well. And now I'm actually on a weird combo. Kind of jog in with about the biggest telescopic tee you can get, the high cut. So I'm like on a
Yeah.
combination now, and I think with the low, what I find with the low, like the school of kicking approach is that the less you try on those tees, the less effort you put in, the sweeter it is, and the more relaxed you are, and the more it's a feeling in your. I don't know if you find this. It's a feeling in your stomach kicking off a low tee. I find in your approach. So this is where I was at a point where I was trying to replicate feelings in my stomach to kick the ball well. And that's when it started to go very much
Yeah,
downhill.
yeah.
But when I'm trying to replicate a feeling in my stomach, I mean, that could have been altered by how much I've had for breakfast that day. But
Yeah.
I was trying to replicate that feeling. But ultimately, what I realized it doesn't, I found I kicked those low tees really well. And I still do kick off a low tee from time to time. Like yesterday, I kicked off a low tee just because, like, well, why not? A little bit of fun. Not quite that low Rhino one. It's the Marcus Smith tee, like,
Yeah, the
that Gilbert, a
450.
bit higher. Yeah, but I have it upright. I do all the same thing. I just literally walk back. I didn't even look at the ball as I'm walking back. I just take about I don't even know, I didn't even count the steps, 5, 6, 7 steps, and just have a real slow approach, slow jog, let my foot strike it, and that's that. And I think that works for people, and it can work for anyone. I exactly the same with the high tee. I don't think it matters, but what I ultimately found it came down to for me was, what do I enjoy kicking off more? And I ultimately found I enjoyed having I enjoyed steps, but not as much as I enjoyed doing a really slow, almost steps jog. It's like a combination between steps and a jog.
No, I know, yeah, yeah.
It's like a really slow, like duh, 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 duh. And obviously it builds in speed. And that's why I found I've had my most success because I enjoy that the most. And then coming back to the kicking tee is like, I love kicking off that high tee. I love the way it feels for me. And so I went with that. I was like, right, forget everything that I've, not been taught, but forget everything. I'm just going to do what I enjoy the most and I find most comfortable and natural. So that when I'm at the back of my run up, I'm not questioning, is this the best tee for me? I don't know. And I'm not forcing my steps, and I'm not also forcing a jog. I'm not trying to replicate some really weird feeling in my stomach that makes me feel like I've got it correct. I just have that feeling of, yeah, this is right now. So now we just go and kick it. So I think for me, and I think what I find again coming back to playing, it ties into playing. Where you'll have most success with kicking, whether it's tee, approach, or anything, is what do you enjoy the most and what feels most comfortable for you to do, and then work back from there. Because you can learn to kick, but you can't learn to you can learn to enjoy a kicking tee and an approach, but I don't think you shouldn't have to do that. You should have that bit feel natural. And so yeah, coming back to the school of kicking, I don't think you should. I don't think that's the right way to kick, but I don't think any way is the right way to kick. I think the right way to kick is for what you want to do, and that's where it comes down to ultimately.
Here, here.
Yeah.
Piece of wisdom
Yes.
for someone 20 years old, mate, but I can tell you've been through the ringer. Like, although you've only got 20 years, like, in terms of kicking years, you're far wiser than a lot of other people out there. I think the average understanding of kicking is slowly increasing with the number of
Yeah.
content creators especially out there, but you've
Yeah.
clearly put in the labor, and especially I think that's something that content does to you. It forces you to really go detailed and to really understand your craft before you start talking about it even more. So I can see
Yeah.
that within you, and you're so right in my opinion as well. I've always said there's no one way of kicking a
Yeah.
ball. Yes, there are physiological determinants to kicking
Mm.
balls further and
Yeah.
determinants that make kicking simpler, which is arguably the easiest way of being consistent. For example,
Yeah.
if you've got this approach that's like 3 steps back, then you go to the side, and then you look up and you're down, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you've got this long-winded approach, that is so complicated, it's really hard to replicate. Whereas if
Yeah.
you go, I
100%.
I opt for the I think Finn Smith is the best example, although he's not kicking superbly at the moment, with I don't agree with his ball positioning being pointing out. I like to have a straight ball set up just to simplify
Ooh.
it again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
his method of he takes a half. So I say this is we're getting noisy here. This is
Yeah. Yeah.
how
Yeah.
I think you should approach the ball in the simplest way, and arguably the
Okay.
simplest way being the way that is most consistent. I'll caveat that to agree with you that you can approach the ball however you want, but I'd
Yeah. Yeah.
argue that
Yeah.
this is the simplest way, and it comes from American
All right.
football. I was
Well,
coached by an American football goal kicking coach, and that's where I learned actually really what I know about goal kicking.
okay.
So you
I'll
have
come back at you with mine then after this because this will be interesting.
okay,
Because
we're
I've
gonna have
got
a little
mine
battle
simplest
here.
way as well. Yeah, here we go. Here
Okay.
we go.
So in
Unless they're the
American
same, they might
football
be the same.
yeah, yeah, maybe. Well, probably, mate, knowing that how many similarities there are between us, we're probably talking about the same person. But in American football, obviously, the defense is so much closer to charging you down compared to rugby. You have a limited time, so you have to do the limited amount of steps. So they have a jab step, a drive step, and a plant step. That's the three-step approach. And in reality, when you look at every
Yeah.
kicker in the world ever, they all have a jab, a drive, and a plant. Some
Yeah.
plants and drives are a little bit well, they're the things that are definitely consistent. The jab step is something that just breaks momentum. And the way that I see it is in rugby, you don't need to be that quick. You don't need to be that snappy. If anything, it's quite difficult to do. You have more time because the conversion charge down is so much further away. So the way I see it is you have an additional step. You have a break step, is what I call it. You break your static position. So for Owen Farrell, that is a step backwards. For me and Finn Smith, that's a step of taking a wide stance to close like feet together stance. That's what if you watch Finn Smith, you
Mm.
watch me kick.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
step is essentially just bringing my feet together. That breaks my momentum. I then jab with my left. I then drive, and as you speak about, I know having big steps to really build
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
momentum
Yeah.
into the ball. That drive step with your right foot, and then that last step, that plant step, being arguably the most important in terms of positioning yourself in that same spot so your swing goes through the target then you follow through and do whatever you want after the ball. But those, I think, are the only four steps that are necessary. And arguably, three steps is all you need, but you need that break to allow that momentum to come into the ball. And arguably, anyway, no matter how many steps you have before those three, it's always those final three.
Yeah.
That is my TED talk on approaching the ball to simplify it.
Yeah.
That was a quick way of saying it as well. I could have gone the long-winded route there. What's your
Yeah,
take?
yeah. Right, well, I'll try and be quick 'cause I'm very good at waffling on, as we've already spoken for almost an
We've
hour.
got a whole
I'm
business
not
about it,
sure
mate.
mate, yeah, I'm so good at waffling. Right, okay, so mine is pretty much the exact same, right? So, well, I'll use the same terminology: jab, drive, and plant. I like those words, we'll use those. So jab, drive, and plant, those are all you need in to produce the results, I believe. So, because when I was in America, I used to literally just do that. Jab, drive. I didn't have the break step because I would just go 1, 2, 3, bang, kicked it.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it now is that it doesn't those are the most important 3 steps in your kick. What I see everything behind that, your jab, drive, and plant, so everything behind that sets you up to execute those. That's the way I view it. So pretty much similar to you having that break step. The way I find it is view it as like getting me into a good rhythm so that those 3 are accurate, those 3 are the same, and that I strike the ball like that. So whether that is some people roll on their foot, some people jogging, that's why I don't think it matters because as long as you can have those jab, drive, and plan all the same, and those are the most important things because that's where like you can kick 60 meters jogging into the ball, you can kick 60 meters with those 3 steps because that's where your power comes from. That's where really the kick's determined. Like you can do front flips and back flips for all I care when you're a bit further away, but as soon as you get into those 3 steps, that's what matters. Where I maybe differ from you slightly here is now not again, not that I think this is the right way to kick. I find it's better for players to be less well, what I found in coaching guys and my own personal experience is it's better to be a bit more toey on those 3 steps rather than so you think this is the floor here, rather than heel and toey, bit rolly and steppy, bit more personally, I prefer a bit more toey. I don't think there's a right way to kick, obviously, like we've already spoken about, but I
Yeah, yeah.
find the only difference there is just being a bit more on your toes, maybe a bit more, yeah, a bit more, a bit more bounce, a bit more relaxed and fluid. I feel like sometimes on your heels, if you're going from heel, you're trying to go from 0 to 100 quite quick, but it works. Do you know what I mean? Like Ramos, for example. Like Ramos is so slow, and then all of a sudden he has that big explosive step, and then he gets through the ball or whatever. The only thing I find with younger guys certainly is trying to get them to go from 0 to 100 can be quite tricky. I think it's easier if you build your speed, but again, like what works for you works for you. Do you know what I mean? But that's probably my only slight difference. Where I prefer 60-40, 60-40. Do you know what I mean?
I've got the inkling we're gonna have to start another podcast here, mate, because we could talk about this. It's fascinating to hear someone else talk about kicking to this level of detail. I thought I
Yeah.
was a man alone in the world with all
No,
these thoughts about all these intricacies. Like, you're talking about heel strike and forefoot strike in your approach to kicking the ball. I
mate,
thought it was
and
just me that can understand
we
the
could do
level of
so much
detail,
more. We could do so much
mate,
more.
and it
We're
would
only
bore
talking
the
about the
life out of so many
approach to the
people.
ball.
Yeah, we
We're
haven't
only
even
on about
kicked
the
it yet.
approach. We haven't even
Yeah.
kicked the ball or anything yet. We're just approaching it right now.
There's
We're
a
just coming
podcast
up
in
to
there
it.
somewhere, mate. There's a podcast in there
Definitely,
somewhere.
definitely.
And you are right. Back to what we were saying originally, the most important advice for everyone here at home is that there's no one way of kicking the ball. I think the difference between heel striking and forefoot striking, jogging or walking
Yeah.
into the ball in terms of the optimal output is minuscule. It might
Mhm.
add 2 meters to your kick. Happy days. It doesn't matter if those 2 meters are so complicated to come by that all of a sudden you can't do it consistently. That's the
Yeah.
most important
Yeah, yeah,
part, is
yeah.
that simplicity to repeat your process consistently. I know that
Yeah.
the best example being spiral kicking. Spiral kicking, if you hit it perfectly, the ball's gonna go, I'd say, 30% further than an end over end punt.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it's so hard to do that you're very rarely going to hit it perfectly to send it 30% further. You might as well
Yeah, yeah.
consistently hit. The example that I use is that if I was to take 100 kicks, 100 punts and 100 spirals and add up the total distance of both, the punts will be much further because I'll consistently
Mm.
hit them because they're so easy to do and get that standard distance. Whereas with the spirals, I'm going to spray 9 out of 10 of them. And don't get me wrong, you can practice it to the point you're Johnny Wilkinson and hit them perfectly every
Yeah,
single
yeah,
time.
yeah.
But for the average Joe, you're better off sticking to punting the ball because not only will you kick it just as far on average, but also you're actually going to be far more accurate with it anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well
That's a
stick to that's my argument for
a
simplicity over complexity for the sake of consistency.
and I tell you what, that's another video right there. Spiral kicks versus punch. We 5 kicks of each, total up the average. That'd be really interesting to see.
We've got
But you're
a lot of
absolutely right.
content to make.
It comes to like obviously how simple can you make the kick, but just how enjoyable can it be and how natural can it feel? That ultimately those are the bits you want. Which is why I always think it's good, certainly for young guys, to do everything. Try out a low T, try out a high T, try walking, try jogging, because you learn so much more from doing that. If I'd have only ever stuck with one T, and I'm so guilty of this, haven't tried all the Ts, like, probably why for 5 years I wasn't very good because I never had the same T for more than a week. But I think you learn a lot. I think you then learn, okay, this is what I like, this is what I want to do, and then you can stick with it, and then you're like, oh, there we go. But I think it's great to try them all, get a well-rounded knowledge.
100%. And as you say, enjoyment is the most
Yeah,
important thing. And it's something we said literally at the start of the podcast, that those who are having fun around performance, those are typically the ones that actually
yeah,
perform, the ones who are playing
yeah,
the
yeah,
game
yeah,
rather than obsessing over a particular process. Especially when you're younger, I find that when I was younger, whenever I changed kicking tee, I was the best kicker in the world. I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
this tee is so much better." It's not the tee, as you're well aware, it's not the tee that is making you better. It's you bringing fun back into
Yeah,
kicking. It's about learning how to augment your body to kick off a higher kicking tee compared to a lower kicking tee.
yeah,
It brings focus back into the activity. Whereas before, you almost switch off mentally because you're so indoctrinated in this process of walk up to the ball, you have your routine. All of a sudden, you change the stimulus, you have a different
yeah.
kicking tee, and now all of a sudden, all right, I've got to refocus again. I've got to play this game of how do I kick this ball off this tee. It's not the tee that's a thing, it's your mentality that's changed that's made you kick better because of that external change.
Mate, I feel like I'm just living I'm living your journey because this is everything that I've ever felt. You know, I even joked about it with my mates one time. I was kicking with them. We were like day before a game, and I was so unhappy with my technique, and we changed it game day, I think, or like, and kicked so well. I was like, I've never practiced this, but there was just nothing going on it. Do you know what I mean? There was nothing riding on it. I was like, let's just do this. Why not? And it's you're right. It's not the tee. It's not the change in approach. It's just the change of it's just you just enjoying it more. Do you know what I mean? I used to joke about my mates like I'll change tee every game. Every game I rock up with a new tee and new kicking technique, and we'll see how it goes. But you're absolutely right. That's so funny that you've mentioned that as well because that is exactly how it's been going for me so far. And if the years to follow are like yours as well, we're doing pretty well. I have to say,
Don't
signing
get me
some
wrong,
42,000 people that was
we'll
something.
we'll get on to that now, but just to finish off,
Yeah.
there is a point still that when it comes to game day, you wanna be in that, in my opinion, you wanna be in
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
indoctrinated state. You don't wanna be thinking too much. You wanna just be in that process, you're using that feel. It's not a thought anymore, it's a feeling of, "I know this process, I can shut my eyes." I even oh, this is a throwback. Before we get into the crunch creates, because 'cause we've gotta wrap this up quickly
Okay.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
getting through it now, but I got to the stage over the course of lockdown where I hit, like 3 blindfolded kicks in a row. 'Cause
Oh,
I've got 2 of them on record, I don't know why the other one's gone, but in a row, I blindfolded myself, wrapped the T-shirt around my head, and that's how
yeah.
indoctrinated my process was in my body and how much I committed to it. I took my steps, again, break, jab, drive,
Yeah.
plant, swung, hit the ball straight through the middle of the post. I didn't know it went through the middle of the post
Yeah.
because I was blindfolded, but that's the stage that I got to. If I shut my
Yeah.
eyes, I
Yeah.
could do
Yeah.
it. Then you get to a game day and you have all this pressure around you. It's tough to deal with, but arguably, to conclude the point, when you get to game day, it is important to stick to
It
a
is. Yeah.
specific
Yeah. Yeah.
routine, a process that you can trust, that you have confidence in, not for the sake of it being the best process, because there is no best process, as we've discussed,
Yeah.
but for the sake of confidence to committing to a process so that you hit the ball with that chest, with that desire for the ball to go through the post.
Yeah.
But that's enough
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
nausing
Yeah.
stuff.
That was a joke. Do not. That was me joking, my mates. Don't
Yeah.
actually change your technique on game day. Just to clarify, in case anyone was thinking, "Oh, yeah, good idea." No, no, bad idea. Don't do that. That was only a joke.
I might. There's a video idea in there somewhere, mate, of taking a different tee for every
Well,
kick in one game. I'm going to do that, I reckon, just to prove a point. To prove a point. But talking about dealing with pressure, talking about processes on game day, of course, us two volunteered as
yeah.
tribute to go and stick our hands up to get booed by a load of French folk. So, for context, for any
Oh,
people
mate.
listening at home who don't know what we were involved in, the shirt that I'm wearing is the England content creator team. I'm not even wearing my shirt. I'm currently
You know.
wearing Archie Curzon's
Oh,
shirt
the
because
big
my
man.
shirt is still a
Brilliant.
bit grubby from the game. I haven't washed it, and I
You
never
not watched
will.
it?
Absolutely not, mate. It is grubby as hell, and I'm going to frame it
Oh,
along with the
mate.
pair of boots. As you can see, I'm also holding. This is my microphone
Those are
stand
something.
for the day.
Those are something else.
Your
Yeah.
signature is somewhere on here, but we're playing a
We're on
game,
there, mate. Yeah.
the first ever rugby content creator game called the Crunch Creator. God, I'm even messing up the bloody French pronunciation. But it was based in France, in Bordeaux, loads of French fans, 42,000 of them in the stadium, over 500,000 people watching from home. And there we are, definitely not code browning these white pair of shorts as we stood over the ball waiting to kick. What was that like for you, mate? Specifically from a kicking point of view, we can talk about the broad stuff around actually playing in front of that many
Yeah.
people another time. But I wanted to talk about kicking here, mate. We're on this train. Let's stay on board. How was kicking in front of that many people? Because your
Mate,
first one,
mate, well, we'll talk about it. Let's talk about it because
yeah,
it's real, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so real, bro.
so you know, it was weird for me coming to this sort of thing because I've never played that. I've never even played in like that front of that many people, anywhere near that number. Um, and being only 20, it was like quite a lot of people watching, and I'm here volunteering. Yeah, I'll kick. But also on that, like, I knew that my Kick IQ brand was not the brand was on the line, but you know what I mean? Like, here I am giving all this coaching about kicking, and now I've got to actually do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
Like,
credibility's gotta come through
yeah,
somewhere.
exactly, yeah. And so you know, I wasn't really thinking about it in warm-ups or anything, and that first kick came, and when I tell you
Did
the
you sorry,
posts have
pause there. Did you warm up? Did you kick
no,
any
no,
goals
no, no,
before?
no. I was just mate straight into it. Let's go
Yeah, no,
because
neither did I. I didn't
obviously
kick any goals but in the warm up at all. I didn't even have my tee out there.
well, it was kind of like I was thinking we could do well, I could warm up, but we're just here with the teams, you know what I mean? I was like, let's just, you know, I kinda wanted to I was more invested in the event rather than
I'm with you. I'm
goal
with you.
kicking, do you know what I mean? However, then when I realized, hang on a minute, all these people who know me as Kick IQ, I might be Miss IQ if I do not make any of these kicks. So, this first one came up, it was Dell scored it, I think, and I was like, "Mate, please run under the post, please run under the post."
Yeah,
And
you're
some French
welcome.
guy came
You're
in
welcome, Dylan. That was all
yeah.
me. I chucked in the pass,
Oh,
and
yeah, that was
basically
it, that was
all he had to do was put the ball down. He didn't have to do anything more than that.
yeah,
Like, it
mate,
was
he did
basically all
nothing.
me.
It was all you. But then that mate, he scored it, and I was like, "Right, sweet as. We're on the 15." I think maybe like a meter out of 15. I'm like, "This is sound." You know what I mean? Good first kick to warm us up almost. I almost saw that as my warm-up kick. But then when I got to the back of my run up, and I was like, "These posts have never looked smaller in my life." I was like, like, what is going on? It looked like honestly, I've got to say, like, the posts have never looked smaller. And flipping Dell didn't get the ball. So then I had to run and get the ball, run
Oh,
back, all on
dear.
the clock.
A kicker's nightmare,
And
that.
I know, I was like, "Come on, this guy's played however many years of pro rugby, couldn't even bring me the ball back." So, and I'm rushing it, and then I get back to my run up, and I'm like, "Okay, just go through the process." But I think I was so rushed, and I was so like, "This is my first kick, and there is so much noise, I can't even hear myself." And I don't know what happened. Maybe I rushed it. I actually can genuinely, wholeheartedly tell you, I didn't visualize. No visualization happened. I don't know why. Just slipped my mind, I'm guessing. Who knows? Who knows? But then, you know, the pressure of 42,000 French fans got to me, and quite a sitter of a kick, really. Bananaed round. I'm lucky it hit the pole, mate. That's you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Hitting the pole, you know, like, if you put the stat sheet down, missed, but hit the pole, it's not too bad. But when you see the kick, blimey, probably one of the worst kicks that's been
Yeah.
recorded on you know, you see those compilation of worst kicks in rugby. That'll be on there somewhere, I'm sure, one day.
I wouldn't put yourself down that much, mate. You do have a
Well,
slightly
no,
faded
but
ball flight. It was coming back around.
yeah, mate, you know, if I was a meter back, that was going in, do you know what I mean?
Oh, too right.
But nah, and then had like 2 easy ones in front of the post, and those kinda helped me get my rhythm back in. I was like, "Right, okay, we gotta smoke these down the middle. These are get if I miss these, I'll probably sell myself off and call it a day."
Yeah,
But
delete the
we
account.
made it, and then I saw you make your 2, um, I was like, "Right, he stepped up the game here. Like, this is we're here now." You know, because 'cause yours were tough angles as well, and so I was
Arguably,
like,
other than your sideline conversion, arguably the toughest place to kick from, in my opinion, is from that 15-meter hash. Like,
yeah.
you there, it looks easy, but it's just not. It's so
It's
difficult to get the ball to draw
it's so
around or just
funny,
get it
yeah.
straight. It's a tough place to kick from.
It's so funny, isn't it, that those 15-meter lines, mate? Because 'cause they're like "You should get this," and you know you should get it, and that's where it
Yeah.
gets like, "Oh, no." But, anyway, yeah, and then we had the kick on the touchline, right on the touchline, and this was the one when I tell you I've never been so happy to see a kick go over the posts. Of every single kick, of the maybe millions of kicks, I don't know, millions are quite a lot, but of all the hundreds of thousands of kicks, that was my favorite, and went through the process. Again, I've got to thank, to be fair, mate, kicking it with KC because he helped me work on my process with me. With a little mentor and call with him, which was unbelievable. And 'cause I don't know about you. Do you talk at the back of your run up to yourself?
Uh, Not anymore, mate. I am
Not
such a
anymore.
simple goal kicker nowadays. I just put the ball on the tee, line it up down the middle of the post. I don't even look at the post. Like, I have one little look up at them,
Really?
and I just know that If I've got that ball pointing towards the target and I hit from one end of the ball to the other end of the ball and somewhat shift my momentum through it, it's gonna go in that line. So
Yeah. Well, there
I
you
don't even
go.
think, I just lock in, turn my brain off, and just really dial in on, as like Dave Allred says, smothering the ball, compressing the
Yeah,
ball,
mate.
really focusing on just the strike, and that's what I had a chat with Richie Mwanga about. We spoke about, like, getting through the ball and either,
Some
like, jogging.
names.
Yeah, I've been lucky to
These
kick with
are
some
some
cool
good
people.
names, mate.
But he said to me, as a little clip of it on Level Rugby, the only thing that's really important in the kick is, and he said like this part of the kick, about a meter behind the ball to a meter ahead of the ball. That is
Yeah.
actually all that matters. You can do everything else you want around it, as we spoke about with our approach to the ball. But in reality, that's all that matters. So if I just focus on getting that bit right, as long as I keep my momentum towards target, that's a key focus of mine to keep that.
Yeah.
I don't like squaring my hips to target anymore. I like to keep that lead shoulder a little bit further forward just to push the ball along the line. That's what
Yeah.
works for me. I don't have to talk to myself or anything. I've gone past the days of obsessing over kicks. I now just
Yeah,
focus
yeah,
on
yeah.
smacking the ball between the toes.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm in that stage of like, whether or not I'll stay in that stage or not, but I love it. I was talking to him about it. Had a mentor call me, spoke about talking to yourself, and you can see in the video, I am shouting it because I'm like, I need to hear myself over the 42,000 fans. So I am shouting at the top of my lungs, and I just to go, whatever words I say. Went through the process. I was off the pitch, which was a bit weird. I was like, hang on, I'm going uphill it because
Yeah, it's
obviously
not
the
even
pitch.
grass. Yeah,
No, yeah, it wasn't even grass. It was on a slight slant, and I was like, hang on, I got to go up and then kick.
yeah,
No follow through because I looked up straight away to see where that ball went. I was like, "Kick, where's it gone? Where's it gone?" And
yeah.
thankfully, it went. Oh, I don't want to say thankfully, credit myself more than that, but it went over, and emotions were high. Screamed, was so happy because I was like, "Just save the brand, just save the brand."
Yeah. There's the clip, and
Yeah, there's the
thankfully,
clip,
Lou was, like,
and
filming it for us as well, so that was great.
exactly, we're on about 1 million views combined with those clips now. I'll keep
Oh,
posting that
yeah.
one till the end of
Yeah.
Kick IQ, mate. But yeah, so nah, mate, that was. I mean, mate, but you'll know it with the noise the fans were making. Did you tune into the noise they were making when we were kicking? Obviously, they're
I
booing
was
and screaming, but
I was aware of it as I was, like, gathering the ball and, like, putting it on the tee, and then as soon as
yeah,
I listened to it, I remembered I kept on hearing it in my head, like, someone, I can't even remember who said it on some interview someday, saying, like, "You just when you have all the noise, it just becomes white noise, and you can't hear it
right,
anymore."
exactly that.
It
Yeah,
just, like, it's arguably worse to have the silence because at least at that point, they're respecting you enough that you
yeah,
feel the pressure to put the ball between the poles. When they're all booing you, it's like they hate me enough as it is. If I get this,
yeah,
it's just gonna be a cherry on top of the cake, but yeah, I just sort of zoned out. It just helped me lock in, if anything. If anything, it's
yeah.
gonna be really awkward going back to Redbourne Lane to play for Harpenden and no one's saying anything on the sidelines because there's no one there.
But now here's the craziest thing that I've kind of come to realize now is that I don't think we should respect the kicker anymore in rugby. Now
Yeah, I've
here,
already
this is
said
one
it.
of my.
I've already
Mate,
said it.
have you already said it? Here we go,
I said it
mate.
on, the Full of Rugby podcast. We have to do our controversial rugby opinions, and I said we should stop respecting the kicker. The French
Here we
already don't
go.
respect him. I'd already said
Yeah,
it, mate. I'll send you the clip.
but
There's so many clips I've got to
oh,
send
mate,
you after this.
that's
But
that was so funny. Yeah,
yeah, I've said it
yeah,
before,
mate,
and I think
that's
it's great.
because so, mate. I just think like exactly like you said. I think I was as nervous for that kick as I was for when I'm kicking down the club by myself, and there's a couple of people having their car washed, 'cause the club's right next to a car wash. There's a couple of people then watching, or like at your local club, and like there's dead silence. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd hate that more now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've not kicked much in game because I was dreadful until about America, and even when I came back from America, I missed my first every kick in my first game. Like I'd come back, here we are, it's Kick IQ coming for his first game of rugby, missed every kick, absolute shambles. This other guy took over and slotted them all. I was like, oh mate, this is terrible. But
We have lived the same life, brother. Like I used
mate,
to be called
it's
Bottle Job Johnson because I just used to bottle it every time that I did anything
oh
on the
mate, at
rugby
least
field.
yeah, but yeah, mate. Honestly, mate, respecting the kicker, that's old. Like, and we want to talk about growing the game as well. Forget respecting the kicker, mate. Like, as a kicker, like you said, it kind of becomes white noise. There's no need to respect the kicker. Forget these regular morals of rugby. I want to hear booing, booing, booing at just about any opportunity I have to kick the ball now. Like, I'm going to be disappointed if I go to a game now and they're not booing. I'll be like, come on, lads, what's this? What's going on here? Let's get a bit more noise going. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe you said that. That's so
Especially good
funny.
chat.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
especially at university rugby, like at Loughborough, we had some of the most honking chat. We were,
Yeah.
like, of course, like, so much closer to the person kicking the ball, and you were saying some god awful things to
Yeah.
the person, but I
Yeah,
love
mate.
it. The more creative, the better. Like, it's spoken so many times on the pod about other creators who play, and they get the, "Oh, stick that on your TikTok, mate." Boring chat. Give
Mate.
me some good
Yeah,
chat.
I know.
Like, you know, like the kind of, you've seen the video somewhere in Australia, of course it is, 'cause they've got unbelievable chat down that way, but it's like, "Oh, mate, you're overcompensating. You're pointing it too far to the right. You gotta point it
That's
to the
such a
left."
good video.
It's
Mate, that's
great
such a good
chat. Give
video.
me some of that. It's hilarious. It's really
Or it's like
creating moments in the game, and I think kicking is enough. I think kicking is a game within the game of rugby. It's a separate
mate,
sport within
yeah,
our game, so let's have separate
100%.
rules for it, where you can
Mate,
have as much abuse being hurled at you as possible.
100%. And this is it, like, so what, like, when I came back from America, like, I got, it was a KIQ, and I'm kicking with my mate, Dill Darcy. Great, he plays for Met, actually. He's a must on the wing. But, so I kick with him a lot, and if I miss a kick, he is, mate, he is going to town with the abuse. And, like, it is like, but, you know, like, why not? Do you know what I mean? And, like, I get more nervous kicking with him now than I do in game, because I know if I miss, he'll be slandering me, and he comes out with a "stick that on your TikTok," and I'm like, "Oh, mate, that's dreadful." But do you know
Go
what I
on,
mean?
mate. Yeah.
Like, really, but like, mate, like, the abuse needs to be like, not abuse. I think abuse is harsh, but like, you know what I mean? The
There's
chat,
lines. There's a
the
line to cross. Yeah.
because it's all within like, it's all within like, I felt at the French game when we came off the bus. Obviously, they're booing us, but it wasn't like a booing as in like, we actually hate you. It's like, no, we
There
want the
was a
French
degree
to
of
win.
comedy to it. It was theatre.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what made it such a good event, I think. You know, and it couldn't have been more perfect, like, the result. But, like, them booing us coming off the coach was just phenomenal, because it wasn't like a hatred boo, it was like, we wanna win, and we want, like, yeah, we wanna get in their heads, do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, we actually don't want you here, do you know what I mean? And, like,
There was a
my
mutual respect for the game.
yeah,
The game as a third
exactly.
party was being respected between two teams of people who, yeah, come from different nations, and I think that's another thing that was great about the creature game is that it wasn't like internal friendly where everyone's hoping everyone does really well. There was an international rivalry going on, which created
Yeah.
that animosity and that atmosphere for us goal kickers. And you've already answered my final question before I even got the chance to ask it around what should the game be doing differently to improve and to grow. And we've covered off so much there, Dylan. We could keep on chatting for
Oh,
hours,
mate,
I'm sure, about all
we
things
could.
content creation. So I feel like I might have to have you back on, mate, because we've not even scratched the surface of kicking in reality, because I'm sure there's some depths to go to there between us, but also
Oh, mate.
content creation. So we'll have to get that episode
Yeah, we
booked in
haven't
again.
even
But we've,
covered those.
yeah, we've had enough time so far today, mate. Thank you so much for coming along and joining in this episode. If you guys at home have enjoyed Dylan's chat around goal kicking, then where can they find you, Dylan? How can they help you out?
Mate, so you can find me, everyone can find me on, keeping it super simple, Kick IQ Rugby on Instagram, Kick IQ Rugby on TikTok, Kick IQ Rugby on Facebook now. Facebook blew up the other day. I had one post that's got about 1.4 million views, and I've got
It's
in
a weird
about
place,
a good,
Facebook. I have like the
Facebook's
auto
weird.
uploads activated. Like as
Yeah,
soon as I post on
exactly.
Instagram,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it just goes straight on their Facebook.
Mate, craziest comment section ever though. Fans
Oh,
arguing.
it's awful.
I'm
I
not
don't
even,
even look at the content I put on there.
mate, it's no, yeah, it's not worth it. And then Kick IQ Rugby on YouTube. Simples, mate. Simples. Kick IQ Rugby everywhere.
Easy
So
as that.
on all platforms.
Go check him
Easy as
out.
that,
If you're really
exactly.
far into the episode, then you're definitely a top nose and you'll love the kicking content that he's putting out. If you have reached this far into the episode, then please go down below,
Oh.
drop a like on it. We're back. Plenty more podcast episodes coming your way over the next foreseeable future, as we took a little break over the Six Nations because it was a busy old time. But drop a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and otherwise, I hope you go well this weekend. And I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, Dill.
No, thank you. Thank you.